Hi, I'm Duran, CTO at Messari. In this video, we'll be taking an inside look at Messari's crypto intelligence and walk through what sets it apart from the rest. Our belief is that AI is only as good as the data it has access to. So the goal of this video is to overview the data sets that our AI engine contains in order to provide accurate, timely, source-grounded responses to our users. So the question is, what makes Messari AI unique? First, it's its proprietary data. Let's take a look at an example here. So let's ask CoPilot what happened with the SWI hack. And behind the scenes, it's retrieving from our data warehouse that we'll quickly preview here in the diagram here, but we'll get back to this diagram shortly. So we see that CoPilot responded here. It was actually able to identify that the hack was not on the SWI blockchain itself, but rather a protocol on the SWI blockchain. So it was able to interpret the question, knew what the intent of the user was, and gave the correct answer on the hood. And specifically, it's able to go pretty in depth on the exploit that happened here, the impact, the detection, and the responses here. The answers here all come from the proprietary data sets that we have and the curation that we've applied on top of it. So if we take a look at here, the Intel reference here references the Intel dataset, which is an enterprise-grade dataset that we've been building since 2019, that we've been offering to our enterprise users, and institutions rely on this real-time data feed to stay up to date on their critical teams, whether that's the infrastructure teams or the node provider teams. They need to stay up to date on when a hack happened, when there's a blockchain halt, when there's major upgrades, everything from the hack that we're seeing here to the Ethereum Petra upgrade, everything that is high impact is covered here. And you can see that it goes pretty far back in terms of the history and provides updates over time, which all of this information together makes the CoPilot system much smarter since it knows about the history, but it also knows what the latest event happened here as well. So this is the first incantation of the proprietary data set, but I'll also navigate through a couple others here. So if we go into SWI, we can see that we have our matrices here, we have the CoPilot insights that's generated from our AI engine, but in terms of proprietary data set, it also has access to all of the Messari research reports that are generated. And it has access to both the research about SWI particularly, but also any research about DeFi and layer one, so that it's able to compare and contrast the differences. Next up, I want to show you token unlocks here. Token unlocks is a very material data set that many investors use to know when the next unlock of a token will be. So in the SWI's case, it's in 5 days, June 1st, and it looks like unlocks happen first of the month every month with a specific amount and specific allocations here. And this gives investor predictability, but also when a huge unlock happens, it can be material in terms of the trading and price. And the last thing that I'll show here on the proprietary data set front is the fundraising data set. So our AI engine has access to, so we've gone from the real-time events to the research side to the token unlocks, but behind the scenes, it also knows how much a lab has raised in price and the valuation. So in this case, Miston Labs is the developer of Sui, raised 336 million at 2 million valuation. Well, we can also see what the Sui's foundation's investments are over time and the portfolio that it holds. So all of this goes into making the CoPilot engine smarter, but we've overviewed the proprietary data set in front of things. Sometimes the matrices are more important. So let's take a look at Hyperliquid. It's risen up significantly recently. So let's ask CoPilot, what's contributed to the recent rise in Hyperliquid? And behind the scenes, it's retrieving both some of the qualitative data that we saw earlier, but also the quantitative data behind the scenes. So you see that it has, it's able to identify all-time highs. It's able to grab some of the developments here in terms of regulatory development, but also under the hood, it's able to grab data from the real-time data feed that we have here. And you'll see that our prices update in real time on the front end, which to our users is a plus, but also behind the scenes, this makes our AI engine smarter because it knows what the latest market movement are. And under the hood, we do data ingestion across 269 crypto exchanges, 116 DEXs, 153 centralized exchanges. So it has access to all of this in order to construct the most important or insightful answer to our users here. And then lastly, we can ask something about give me the price movement around BTC, and it should be able to pull out the price information, and it has access to all of this time series data that we've ingested over time, and it's able to construct a cohesive story for the end user. So here are the latest, and it's and you'll notice that CoPilot was able to generate a chart based on the question that was asked, and it's using the underlying time series data set that we have that we've shown here. So the third thing that I want to show is we all spend a ton of time on socials and news, and often open 10 to 15 tabs in order to just stay up to date on what's happening in crypto. And we made that a lot easier. So third example, I'll give two examples here. What's the latest with the Genius bill? And behind the scenes, we ingest the entirety of crypto Twitter streamed into our data warehouse, and that's what allows us to give real-time and timely answers on things that are breaking news. The example on the Genius bill is when the Genius bill passed on May 19th. As soon as it passed, CoPilot was able to identify it and give the proper answer to our users with the vote that was made on the Senate floor, whereas Perplexity and ChatGPT were behind by many hours. And that's all thanks to the real-time ingestion that we have behind the scenes. Another example here, something that's pertinent to today, is tell me about Google's quantum breakthrough and how it impacts Bitcoin. This is very much in the R&D world, quantum side of things, but because of the real-time ingestion that we have behind the scenes, CoPilot was able to identify what's been talked about in terms of the quantum breakthrough from Google, what is at risk, and specifically it's able to identify that the early wallets on the Bitcoin, the early addresses on the Bitcoin blockchains are especially vulnerable to quantum attacks because their public keys are revealed on the blockchains, whereas the later addresses, the public keys go through a cryptographic cache on top. It's able to retrieve from the web X posts like these, as well as news behind the scenes. And just to summarize the architecture here, it's very hard to capture the full context of what's going on in crypto, and you need to ingest across many, many data sources in order to make sense. The accumulation of 7 years of data ingestion, aggregation, curation, and scale is what sets Messari's AI engine apart. And behind the scenes, we ingest all of the data, agnostic from the data source, into our data warehouse. And the data goes through an AI pipeline, which cleanses, curates, filters the data from a noisy data set into a high signal data set, which we then make it available to our Messari AI engine. And that AI engine can power both the CoPilot front end, the CoPilot backend API, as well as our other APIs like our training topics API. So everything flows from the AI pipelining that we build behind the scenes, and we're able to scale this at large scale. So that's why institutions and protocols choose to build on Messari, is because we've done all the hard work of this, making sense of the crypto space. If you're interested in building with us, reach out to API@messari.io.